engineer like us. He's a mechanical engineer from VGT. Today, he's going to brief us about UI UX designing, which is IEEE SFIT and IEEE APSIT second session under the banner of Skill Up September. Thank you, sir, for joining with us. It's a great pleasure to have you.
Thank you so much, Adit. And
Just a second, sir. Before we move on, I request each and every participant to keep their audio muted and video off throughout the session. If you have any questions or queries, feel free to ask them in the chat box. It will be answered by the speaker or us in the end or during the session. Without any further ado, I kindly request sir to start with the session.
All right. Thank you, Aditi, for the introduction. Can you allow me to share my screen?
Sure, sir.
Can you guys see my screen?
Oh yeah, it's up.
Awesome. I just want someone to just one of the admins to just give me feedback if anything's off, because it will be hard for me to look at the chats. Thank you. Guys, so yeah, today the talk is about UI UX design, and we learn how digital products are built and what goes behind the thinking process that's required to build these amazing digital products that we use almost throughout the day. And yeah, as Aditi mentioned, I am a senior product designer at Learn Signal. Previously, I was working with Upgrad. So without much further ado, let's dive into this talk. First things first, thank you for coming. Thank you for making it up to this session. I know it's a Sunday, I'm wasting your Sunday, but yeah, I think it'll be fun if you guys just be through this entire talk and like just learn a bit more than what you know already. And I'll be honored to take you through my learnings. So yeah, a little bit about me. I'm Pankil, and I would request all of you all to not use the designation sir before addressing me. I'm fine with Pankil only, it's okay. I'm just a tad bit elder to you guys, but yeah, no sir and nothing, just Pankil is fine. So yeah, I'm product designer based out of Bombay, Mumbai, and I've worked in the edtech space for the last 2.5 years to be specific, and I'm currently leading design at Learn Signal. So Learn Signal is a Dublin, Ireland-based company, and we sell subscription for finance and accountancy exam products. And the market is Europe, Americas, Canada, and South America. So that's the current landscape that we are operating right now. All right, so about this talk, what you will learn, the need and importance of design today, some stuff about UX and UI design in a real job, and we'll be building something from scratch. What you will not learn is design principles and theory regarding UX laws, handy tips and tricks, do's and don'ts. The reason why you'll not learn these things because these are very readily available on Instagram, on Twitter. If you just Google, you'll have a lot of pages giving you informational content. There are so many YouTube videos out there. So I'm not going to do that usual stuff that you see on Instagram. The reason why I'll be going across these top 3 pointers about need and importance and some stuff about UX UI, because I feel that you need to know the basics and you need to know the way you approach these problems in when you're solving in a company. And once you're through with the thinking, how do you start making tangible stuff out of it? So that's why we'll do some sort of an exercise about what we've learned today. So the contents of this particular talk would be, giving you a run through about what UI, UX design and product design is. Yeah, seriously, what are they? Then we'll be diving deep into the design process, like the entire product design life cycle, what are the stages inside it, and what all you will have to do as part of your roles and responsibilities if you end up becoming a UX/UI designer, a product designer, or UX designer, and so on and so forth. There are a lot of titles available right now in the industry. Then we'll learn about the industry best practices, that how real work gets done in an organization. Um, then we'll be jumping into Figma, which is, according to me and according to most people, is the hottest design tool in the industry right now. Then we'll go into the maker time, wherein we'll be building a small prototype of Instagram. Now, the reason I chose Instagram is it's a popular app, everyone's on it. You can readily, build it. It's not so difficult to understand, and you can essentially measure it with the real app, like whatever you build versus the real app. Just one second, there's something wrong. Yeah, cool. So what is user experience and user interface design? Now, this is a very well-known debate. There are a lot of well-known debates in the design industry, but this one tops them all. There have been like people, intellectuals, commenting about what UI stands for, what UX stands for. This is not UX, this is not UI, this is UX, this is UI, and so on and so forth. You will find a lot of these people debating, arguing on it on Twitter, on LinkedIn, and they'll be like writing articles about it. But you'll read them all, but then you'll still be confused as to exactly what these things mean. So just to clear that confusion out, let's go inside. So what is UX design? Essentially, it is understanding the overall journey of your users and turning it into a product. Now, the simplest point to elaborate on this is that you think about an idea that, hey, I want to shop online. So this is your idea, and you want to convert it into a product. So first, what you will start doing is you'll start doing the user journey. That, hey, what will be the first step my user will do? Let's say they'll download the app, or maybe if you go backwards, they'll see an ad of your app on TV or Instagram or YouTube. Then they'll go to Play Store or App Store, download the app. Now that is where your journey has started. It is kicked from the social media post or campaign or ad that you showed up, and from there your user journey begins. And so that is where your entire UX design process starts. You start crafting your narrative from that point onwards, and then you slowly start changing the interfaces from TV or a computer, like sort of an ad sort of a thing, or a print ad or newspaper ad, to a digital medium, which is your phone. And from phone, how do you essentially enable the person to shop online? So that's essentially your starting point of UX design. The second part, exactly what I just mentioned, help people achieve their goals in the simplest, most frictionless way possible. Now, let's say a very simple example would be that people saw an ad of your product. They land on Google Play Store or App Store, and they see that to use this app, it's a premium app. Let's say you'll have to pay some money for it. So then you introduce a paywall inside that. So you're just introducing a number of steps. Like you want to monetize from your product, but you're doing it at such an early stage without the user getting invested inside the product, that you're just increasing the friction a lot more than it's actually required. So we want to simplify this particular journey. The business says that we want to generate money out of it. So how do you, as a UX designer, where do you place your paywall is the most crucial step that you will learn. And then a bird's eye view of how the whole experience of the product is going to look like from start to finish, from the print ad or a TV ad to the final delivery of your e-commerce, like anything that you've shopped. That is the entire journey that we should think about, and not just the Amazon app that is lying on your phone. That's not it. It's the whole thing. So you start talking about from that point, from the print ad to the point where returns are done, or maybe it gets delivered on your doorstep. So here's a little example from one of my case studies that I did here, that essentially UX design would deal with creating user flows and crafting the narrative and deciding the information structure and how will you arrange the content. And then it translates from that problem solving thing and ends up into a wireframe or prototype. Like the end of UX design is these three things. So you can see that first is a rough sketch, then is a very low fidelity or mid fidelity wireframe, and then you have a high fidelity wireframe wherein a lot more details are covered and you exactly start seeing the shape of it. This is not the final design. Come just after UX design, your UI design phase starts. Now this is one of my most exciting stages because you get to convert all those ugly wireframes into a polished graphical interface, and you increase the product's usability and you create an emotional connection using colors and typography or copy, that how your product is going to be perceived by the end user and what emotional attachment your product holds. Amazon, the narrative that they've crafted is that you get everything. Yahan sab dikhta hai, whatever that their entire pitch is about Amazon. So you know that, yeah, if I want to find anything, I'll get it on Amazon. That's the brand image that you have created. And then the way you design the entire app, let's say if Amazon was black in color, similar to Cred, you'd have thought twice before purchasing because you would have always felt that it's a little luxurious end. So these kind of things, these kind of decisions you start making when you're in the UI design phase. And apart from that, you want to make it aesthetically appealing, more usable, and then optimize for different screen sizes. So let's say tablet, desktop, phone, Apple Watch, smart TV. Now these the two things have increased. So if you work in a product where it has all these landscapes involved, then you will have to optimize your design for all these different screen sizes. So yeah, in a nutshell, UI design is about using typography, images, and other visual design elements to turn basic interface into something digestible and usable. And here you can see like an illustration, like a screenshot about what kind of work you will start churning out when you enter the UI design phase. Like when you're setting up the entire visual language of your product, this is what you'll be doing. You'll be defining these color palettes. You'll be using accessibility ratios to understand whether the contrast is matching or not, and so on and so forth. So now what is product design? The product design is like the daddy of UX and UI design. It encompasses these two things, the roles and responsibilities of UX and UI design. But mainly it's about problem solving. Now here the chief idea is that people are not going to judge you based on how beautiful you've created the UI or how thoughtful you've been, but more about have you met the business needs and the user's needs? Have you accompanied these two things, the business goals and who are the competitors and the overall vision of the product? So let's say when you're working for a project, you'll be only thinking about that project. Now if you're a product designer, you'll have to also understand that there'll be a suite of products inside a particular organization, and each one communicates with each other because the user is going to see the entire thing as one thing. Only inside the organization you know that, hey, you work for the payments gateway, you work for the lead discovery, you work for the product, like so on and so forth, whatever departments you have inside it. So only internally you will feel dissected, but the user is going to see the whole thing as one product. And that's the reason that if you're a product designer, you need to know how your particular product or your project communicates with the existing suite of projects, and how does it well it's webbed together with the rest of the vision of the product. And then the other thing is that maybe you will be asked to optimize or improvise what's already out there. And let's say the business tells you that, hey, you know what, we're getting 30% ROI out of this. We want to increase it to 50%. Or we want to do it 2x. So how do you find ways into just bettering your particular product? So all the app updates that you see for any product, they are usually taken care by product designers, wherein they've launched something in the market, they're getting feedback out of it, and now they're going to iterate upon it and refine it further. So as you can see, these are the things that this particular column, the table that you have, essentially talks about the broad level responsibilities or the deliverables that you as a UI designer versus a UX designer versus a product designer would be doing in an organization. So essentially, in a nutshell, it's to go beyond usability and address the business unit goals of adoption, conversion, retention, and growth. So it's more business oriented, and it's highly apparent that these people are going to be treated with much more importance and seniority levels whenever you go out there. Okay, let's pause and clear the doubts. If you have any questions, feel free to. I'm going to just check my chats. All right, I see there are no questions out here. If you want, you can just unmute and even ask. I'm okay with that. Anyone? Okay. After designing, how do you collaborate with developers? Yeah, definitely. I'll come to this point, Devika, because when I'll be covering the industry best practices, I'll definitely address this question. Admins, please remind me if I miss it out. But yeah, just to briefly answer your question, essentially what we do is, in an organization, the product managers are the stakeholders, and they will conduct a meeting with design managers and engineering managers, and they'll just let them know that this is what they're going to build. And then the design manager gives them timelines, and then the engineering manager, after the designers deliver the designs, the engineering manager sees them and then proposes a timeline. So between these two things, when the designs get shipped to the developers, usually we use Figma right now for everything. And if the developers have any constraints, they comment it out. If, let's say, designers have missed any state, they comment it out and we go and resolve it. But mostly, there'll be a lot of processes followed in an organization about how the the design handoff happens. And in that, you will be asked to create all the possible states for any particular designs. Let's say for a button, there'll be a hover state, press state, uh, in focus state, and so on and so forth. For a drop down, there'll be once you drop down and how you hover, how the item shifts. So a lot of these things the developers will have questions regarding. So you as a designer, when you're shipping these designs off, you need to provide all of these things. And let's say if you miss out anything, the developer will comment it out, and then you can like go and resolve it asynchronously. Anushka, to answer your question, which platform do you use to turn wireframes to prototypes? So wireframes, we used to use Whimsical. I think I still use Whimsical. And then from Whimsical, we moved to Figma. And then we do basic level prototyping. Like, it depends upon what organization you're in. If there's a lot of importance given to interaction design, so like how Swiggy has a lot of animations, and there'll be dedicated animators or motion designers who will take your Figma designs and do it in either Adobe After Effects or Principle or Framer. But for basic level prototyping, just to get the idea through as designers, we do it on Figma itself. Yeah, no, Shreya, you can learn HTML, like then you will be called a unicorn designer. if you know HTML and CSS. I know basic HTML and CSS, not to complete front end development. Like I can create vanilla, I can use vanilla HTML and CSS to create websites. But apart from that, it's not required. It's not a necessary skill, but it's a good to have. Right now, a lot of industry folks demand that designers should have understanding about HTML and CSS, because if they don't know how web works, then it'll be difficult for you to design in the first place, because after all, design is maths. So if you know how the web works, then I think it's a great skill to have. Cool. I'll move further because there's a lot to cover. Next, like I'll have these question slides after every topic, so don't worry, you can even ask afterwards. All right, coming to the second stage second topic is the design process. So normally there are 5 stages of design process, and the goal is that we want to create and deliver value and also satisfy user wants and needs. So it starts with planning, research, design, testing, analyzing. And the last one is iterating, which is a bonus step. So essentially iterating is not a 6 step. It comes after each and every stage. Like inside research, there'll be iteration. Inside design, there'll be iteration. Inside testing, there'll be iteration. So it's a hybrid. It's a hybrid kind of a step. Cool. Let's go inside each one of them. So planning. Now usually planning, as I said, right, while clearing the doubt, that there'll be a project kickoff meeting wherein the product manager will brief you about what we're supposed to build, and what problems we are going to solve, and like what's the business goal or problem that we need to solve. And you will have your key metrics mentioned, that what are we going to measure out of it. And during this stage, in the planning stage, once they brief you about everything, you are supposed to brainstorm and uh, discuss the purpose of the product, like what essentially are we going to do that. So your goal as a designer is to get as much as insights as possible, and then you're going to ask for project needs, that what sort of who all do you require for it. Do you require a researcher? Do you require someone from a non-technical technology team member, like someone from sales, someone from marketing, someone from operations, to help you understand the problem better? So different resources that you might require. You might want to point out what are the blockers or constraints or bottlenecks, if you are to go down that plan. And then you will agree on key deliverables and outcomes, as in essentially, do you require wireframes? Do you require user flows? Do you require design? Do you require prototypes? Do you require user personas? Like all of these things. I'm using a lot of technical jargon, but I'll be clearing all of these things in the coming slides. And then the most important step is the 5th one, which is setting the expectations and a realistic timeline. The most important thing, because if you have time in your hand, you can do everything. If you don't have time in your hand, you can't do anything. So yeah, moving on to the next stage, which is research. Inside research, the idea is to know your users' pain points and goals. And the following 4 pointers are going to help you get an idea about user pain points and goals. So first one is user interviews. So normally this is asking open-ended questions to uncover user needs and issues. So it's as simple as that. You prepare a list of questions. So once you've done the planning part, you will know exactly what you're trying to solve. And based on that, you'll start forming questions, and you will start finding out the target audience. Now, the target audience will be given to you either by the product manager or the business teams, because they would have done their market research before approaching you guys. So you will know essentially that who is going to use your product. It can be your existing users or new set of users, where if you're like trying to branch out into a different demographic. And asking open-ended questions and not too specific about a particular thing will help you get a very contextual and rich data. And it's going to help you create your user stories. It's going to help you create your user personas. It's going to help you create uh, refine your product need. Like, let's say something must have missed out. This particular thing is going to help you out craft a narrative better. Then possibly you send out a survey wherein what you do is, after talking to a couple of people, then you understand that I need these particular things. Like, you narrow down your question set and start asking more specific questions, and then you send out these surveys to just to specific people who you've identified and you know that are going to help you further uh, create your product. So this is just a screenshot about once you receive the responses, how do you sort of uh, segregate the data, and Google Forms and Typeform and all of these will help you out get these graphs out. And then I've just represented this in a very digestible manner. After this, you'll start crafting your user personas. Basically, it's a realistic representation of your typical users. So the template of a user persona goes like this: that you give a brief history about who your user persona is. You give a backstory about that person. So you just want to create. It's like a story. It's like introducing a character inside a novel. You tell everything about that person, how that person looks, what he do, what he or she does, how old he or she is, etc. So where do they stay? That part. Yeah, you definitely attach a photo to it because you want to see your users, how they look like. And then the next thing is the goals, needs, and understanding. Now, this can either become goals, needs, pain points, frustrations. So this particular thing is going to become your feature set. Like, my goal is to do this. So what feature will I require my app to have? So let's say I say that I want to compare different products. So let's say you're going to add a comparing engine or a compare button, add to compare button inside your product. Now that's a user need or goal. It's going to help you identify what all elements your product is going to need, a feature set. And that's how user personas are. So you can create multiple user personas, or two user personas, or just one user persona, depending upon who your audience is. And this is a very interesting exercise because you'll try to really, like, you have to bucket your user groups. You have to bucket your user groups into three distinct personalities or two distinct personalities, and that will help you create the entire feature set of your product. The next stage is the design stage. Now, this is where your designs are going to come alive, and these are the stages inside it, which is sketching, mapping the user flow, defining the information architecture, wireframing, visual design, and prototyping. Now, inside design, this is what you're going to do. So just 1 second, again, something's wrong. Yeah. First thing is sketching. You get your initial ideas quickly with a pen and paper. The best tool out there, pen and paper, works like a charm. Get it out, start sketching, start understanding that what do you want to build, what is that refined product idea that you have, and you start sketching and you start creating these rough wireframes. Then you map the user flows. This is where you will try to understand like how your user is going to navigate across your product. So this is just a screenshot about how Slack sends a notification, and here you can see that the user flow is so complex with the legend associated that everywhere they have a yes and no, and they have a flow there. So this is exactly what you're going to do. You're going to create a high level user flow, which just creates an ideal path that, like, an ideal user is going to follow this particular path. But what if the user is not an ideal user? It's a confused user, or it's a not so interested user. So you add these extra steps wherein the channel is muted. Yes. So this is the flow that you take. If the channel is not muted, so this is the vertically down is an ideal path. the anything on the left hand side is like a not so ideal path. So this is going to understand, this is going to create, this will help you create how many screens you're going to need in order for your app to function properly, even the bare minimum requirements that you need. So user flows is going to like, help you build that entire, give you that confidence about how exhaustive your product is going to be. Then comes the information architecture, wherein what essentially you do, it's very similar to user flows, but apparently what you do is inside a particular page, let's say this is your home page or a search results page. How do you structure the information? What is the thing that the user wants to see first? In e-commerce, the filters and sorting are the most important thing. That's why they're either above, so that's clearly understood, or it's at the bottom, so that your thumb reaches very fast, because that's the thing that the user is going to quickly interact with and refine the results again. So essentially inside a page, this is what, let's take Medium for example. Any blog article that you read on Medium has a header, like a hero image, which just makes it all the more interesting for you to do. And then you have the author name, sorry, the title, and then the author name, and then when it was posted, and then you have the social media sharing icons, and then your article starts. So this kind of arrangement, right, where the social media handles are going to come, as in the sharing icons are going to come, where the author name is going to come, is it going to come at the bottom of the article or at the start? How do you define this, and what the end user, the reader, is going to look like? If the reader is only interested to consume the information, then you arrange the elements on the page accordingly. So that's essentially the IA, and that will come basis, you do certain exercises, card sorting and all those things. You can read about internet about what these methods are, and it'll help you arrange these things inside a page. Wireframing, very simple. We use Whimsical. This is done on a different app. This was before Whimsical was launched. So here you're going to actually understand that your skeleton behind your product is going to be created on this particular stage, wireframing stage. Yeah. Post wireframing, you're going to convert all of these detailed wireframes into visual design mockups, and you're going to choose typography, color palette. You might even end up building a design system, for a mini design system for that particular product, and then you'll be creating mockups for that. Post the designs have been created, basis your user flow, you will start creating a prototype, because you have the screens, you have the flow. Now you just link them together to make a very near to real looking version or demo of your product or app. So you do the linking out here that, hey, if you click on this button, then you go on this. If you click on this button, then you go on there, etc., etc. And then when you play the prototype, it should look like that. And then you can add transitions and everything, all those confetti on top of that. Yeah. Post. So this was everything. This is the last stage in design stage. The fourth stage is testing. Now, testing is essentially, uncovering issues, measuring ease of use, and tracking key metrics. Now, how you do this is either you do preference test, if you do first impressions test, or you do usability testing. So now what you do is, in testing preference test, just to simplify it, you have option A, B, and then you ask people whether A looks good or B looks good, and then people will vote them, and then you know what to choose. And this is going to be very handy for you when you're doing visual design, because normally what happens is that visual design is that stage where you'll end up spending a lot of time and a lot of confusion and frustration, because there are so many ways in which you can like make things look, like arrange them, structure them, and also make them look pretty, right? So if you're the only designer and you don't have anyone, then you would want to get feedback early in your stage. And that's why these testing thing comes in handy, wherein you don't want to be in this stage wherein you build the whole thing and then you show it to your manager or some other stakeholders, and they say that no, I don't like it. You could have shown to me earlier. So now what happens is you've spent a lot of effort, wasted a lot of time, and now the client is unhappy or your stakeholder is not happy. So now you'll have to again go back and change a certain thing. So you're going to feel sad and angry and frustrated. And believe me, I've done that a lot of times. Um, and yeah, I've learned the hard way about how to avoid going into this trap. First impressions test is that you show the thing like a hero landing page, hero image to people for 5 seconds, and then you don't show it. You tell them that what did you make of this particular thing. If they're not able to grasp what your product is in those 5 seconds, you've lost your user. So yeah, these things are going to help you avoid that pool. And usability testing is about the user flow, where in this particular flow, does it look confusing if the button is here? And if you click this, what happens? Let's say you test two different flows and you understand that which one's more easily understandable. All right. So that's essentially usability testing. Then once you have these tests, right, you will have the entire report with you wherein let's say you say that, you know what, the user did not go through the ideal path. They went into a different route, they took a detour, and then they came back. So your usability score is going to be really low because the user, you define an ideal path for the user that is they have to click this button, then this button, then this button, and then they exit that flow. But the user clicked a different button or they landed on some different page and then they came back to your particular flow and then they exited. So there was a detour taken. So you'll understand that something inside your flow is not working out. So you probably need to change that. So there are these tools. Maze.design is normally something that we use. It's going to help you understand that how your particular flow or design is performing. And based on that, you will know where to make those changes. You will have heat maps with you. You will have your click through that where the user has clicked, where the user has gone after clicking to that page. And then essentially you understand, you try to refine those elements on that particular page or something, or that particular section, anything of that sort. And then you basically prioritize them based on severity and impact. Like if it's like a checkout button, if your pay now button is going below the fold, and users don't see where to pay, you're going to lose a lot of revenue. So these things will be like prioritized like P0, like it's super, super important. Cool. Moving on. The last stage is I said iterate. Yeah, it's a big part of the process is iteration. That before and after every stage, you'll have to do that because no design is perfect. And you want to be well informed about your decisions that you've taken. Your biases need to be cleared out, and they need to be backed by data and real value. And you keep on working on and refining on your designs until it meets the goals of the users. All right, question time. This is like a really heavy session. Like, go ahead, unmute, ask anything. No questions? Should I go ahead? Cool. Yeah, industry best practice is the next stage. How real product design work happens. So here you see that I've sort of made some changes in terms of how the actual product design work looks like, right? Like, and when I was at Upgrad, we never did any, like the planning thing is definitely it used to happen, but we never created the problem. We never defined the problem. Like it was given to us by the product manager. This is the problem that we're trying to solve. And this is the project requirement document, PRD. And it has all the research associated with you, and you would want to like, you take it forward from there. And research is something that we did depending upon the project required. Like not each and every project required a research to be done, and most of the times when you join an organization, if you are working for a project, the project scope is so huge that it'll be difficult for you to do the research. So normally they hire an external agency to conduct the research for you, and then they share the research findings with us. And that's like a 2-month long research that the external agency does. So you will never have that much amount of time inside an organization. You will always have 2 weeks or 4 weeks to deliver something. So that's why you will never be able to do research as such. If you want to understand, you can talk to a couple of users and just understand and clear your doubts, or talk to non tech team people, like and then try to get your answers. The design phase is the most important, because that's what the developers would need at the end of the day. That's what the product managers would need at the end of the day. So, and everything that comes in the design phase, which is wireframing, sketching, designing, and prototyping, is something that you will do a lot more heavily inside your job. And testing would be minimized, because normally what would happen is that they would try to release things out and then uh, sort of give the feedback, and then you come back again and do a V2 of your, like you launch the V1, then you do the V2. So testing usually happens, like you can do it on your own, but it's not a mandatory step, because most of the times in the planning and the research phase, what comes from the business teams, it's thought through and it's much more refined. So any possibility of you going wrong uh, is minimized. But yeah, definitely you can do testing for your visual design, as in preference test and usability testing and all of those things. So that's essentially the idea, that the design phase is the most heavy stage, and then the testing and analyzing, it depends. If you have time in your hand, you can either do the test, or you can just like verbally ask people, get their opinion, and move forward. So yeah, inside the industry, processes suck. They only talk about deliverables, and the org structure and the roles are really going to define your deliverables. Let's say if you're a UX designer, then you'll be a lot more user research heavy work. If you are a UI designer, then no questions asked, you'll just be generating out wireframes and designs. It's a very boring job because you'll get tired at a point. Product design is like something interesting, because you get to like really sit with the product people, and then define the problem statement better, and just sort of take their entire confusion out of the park, and think from an experience point of view, and not essentially a do as directed point of view. Like normally as a UX UI designer, you will just be doing your job and not asking a lot of questions, or not doing a lot of firefighting. But if you're a product designer, you will question the business teams, you will question the product people as to why they're doing this in the first place. So that's interesting, because you get to really understand, like, where does this thought or idea arise from. You get to challenge those things. Yeah, timelines matter the most. You got to be fast. So when you're doing this, when you're inside this particular stage, if you have 4 weeks or 2 weeks of time, you need to prioritize, you need to scope it out, that what's going to create the most impact, and what's going to take the lowest effort. So you have to scope your effort versus impact graph for each deliverable, and then sort of understand or decide that, hey, I'll be getting the wireframes out in 3 days. I'll need at least 10 days for visual design, because I have to cover desktop, I have to cover mobile, I have to cover tablet. So these three things will also take some time. So this is what you will be actually doing. And a lot of time, a lot of your time is going to go in just figuring out how much time it's going to take and how to basically prioritize your list of items or your tasks, your deliverables, essentially. Yeah, ship faster, work with devs from the start. Now, this is one of the tips that I learned. I applied, in fact, from early on, is that developers, like in the design industry, normally what happens is that developers are approached at the end stage of your product. And now, what happens is that developers think from a very technical standpoint, and so they know a lot of things that you don't know, probably because of security reasons or because of your particular department that you're working on. But devs usually know how the web works and how it's going to impact any existing tech stack that they have, the backend or something. So if you have designed something that is not going to fit, or it's not going to be possible to code or build, then they will come back to you and tell you that, hey, this is not going to work. You might want to like change the way things are working. In like developers do a lot of things component basis. So they have designed a component, they would want to use the same component with little bit of variance inside it. In design, we tend to want, we feel that, we want to make everything look very beautiful and it has to be better than what previously shipped. Inconsistencies creep in very early, and different designers, if they're inside a team, everyone will have a different style of it. And because of that, uh, if you don't have a design system in place, becomes little hard for you as a design team or as a product to remain very consistent. And then if this is taken care of, if the developers see a lot of red flags inside your design, then they're going to come to you and ask you to change it. So for that to not happen, it's always better to just start having informal conversations, or just asking a product manager to have a meeting or sit with devs and just tell them your idea, what you're thinking about building before even starting to design it. Just tell them that, hey, this is what I think. And normally what we started doing lately in Upgrade is that we would show the wireframes, we would show the user flows to the devs also, or the engineering managers, because they will tell us that, hey, this is not going to work out because this particular thing about a different project is going to impact this particular flow. So you there's a caution for you, and you can take course correct yourself before, without wasting a lot of time. And essentially devs are going to get things out, they're going to make your designs come alive. So always have a good reputation with your devs, and have fun with them. They'll have a lot of ideas, they will know how particular animation would work, so they'll be able to better tell you about how to design it. So it's always interesting to have conversations with devs. Any questions? Is it too overwhelming, too easy to understand? Give me a feedback so that I'll change my pace accordingly. All right. Thanks, Shri. Cool. If everyone's on board, then I'll move forward. Okay. Yeah. Figma, the hardest design tool right now. And trust me, you only need this tool for most of your on-the-job work. And this is just a screenshot from their website. And they have like a really nice thing, nice headline to them. Nothing great is made alone. Obviously, teamwork is something that you will require a lot more when you're like in the industry. So why Figma? It's a platform that enables these following three things. It's basically creation, collaboration, and community. So you can create in Figma, you can collaborate with other people on your designs, and then you can publish it to the community, and you can learn from the community as well. So there's a lot of peer-to-peer learning happening. There's a lot of collaborative effort that's going on, and the reason it's a collaborative tool makes it so easy for everyone, like from the CEO onwards to the salespeople to your like QA people. Everyone is just working on one tool, and they can just lay down their comments. They can, give their feedback, critique it. So people from marketing team, people from sales operations, I don't know, whosoever you want to involve in this particular project that you are on, everyone can just use one tool, and it's a, what do you call it? It's a combined effort. It's not the designers who are doing the thing. It's everyone who is involved, equally involved, and building the product. So there's a lot of hands involved, but all of these hands are visible hands that are involved. Try to understand the metaphor why I'm saying this. If it's a top-down structure, so it's like the CEO or the business telling people that do this, then people below that do that, then you are designer, you do this, and then you give the devs, and then the devs to the QA. This is a very top-down approach, and you don't have visibility as to who contributed what to that particular thing, and you don't know exactly that you might have missed out on something really important or crucial feedback. And then if you had to ask anyone anything, you might have to go upwards or maybe show them asynchronously. This is like what used to happen previously when you did not have Figma, when there was Sketch. So it was all locally shared. The work was done on Photoshop or Illustrator, then you will just send that file to people, or maybe create a PNG out of it and then send it to them, and then ask them to visualize how it will look like. Too much of rudimentary stuff going on. But with Figma, you have things out there, you have your prototypes, send them one link, they can exactly see how the end user is going to see. And they'll be able to like tell you that, hey, you know what, this doesn't work. I know why this doesn't work, because I've seen this somewhere else. So you as a designer, also your pores, grow, and you become aware of, okay, what mistake you might have made going forward. Sometimes someone in the chat. Sort of there, if you go in the organization plan, then there is version history also, and then you can also see how many instances of one particular thing are created. But you don't need any other tool. Like previously there used to be Zeppelin and Avocode, wherein your designs would be uploaded on that, and then the developers would take it from there. But with this, your entire developer handoff is seamless, because you can directly see the CSS right inside the inspector, and you don't need to go somewhere else. So why Figma? It works on every kind of computer, like from Linux to Mac, and on browsers. So it works everywhere. Yes, Devika, you can make illustrations. I'm just going to cover all of those points right now. It's free of cost, obviously. Yeah, you will get little things, like it's a freemium model, so you'll have certain restrictions in the free plan. Files can be shared with anyone. Feedback and version history is easy. Multiple people can work on the same file at the same time. If you have multiple editors enabled, then everyone can collaborate and we can just like do things. Developer handoff was seamless, and you can prototype right inside Figma. So yeah, apart from this, you can also prototype inside Figma. You don't have to go to a different app, import your designs, nothing of that sort. Just inside this one tool. What all you can do with it? Design mocks, obviously. You can get, so this is a prototype that I created on Figma itself after with my designs. So there are a lot of interactions that have been lately added, and I'm pretty sure that you guys, it's in a beta phase, so you might not be able to fully experience it. Like you'll have to go on Figma, request for a beta thing, and then sort of ask for it. So yeah, you can create this interactive prototypes inside. You can build design systems, like someone has built the entire iOS 15 design system. So all the components that you see here, and then what you have to do is essentially just name them, and you can just drag and drop these elements inside your design. So you don't have to create anything. You create for once your button styles, your modal styles, your shadows, your color, your type system, how your drop down menu is going to look like, how these widgets are going to look like. Create everything wherever you need it. You just like from the assets panel, you just like go there, create it, drop it. That's it. So this is like something Figma is pretty well known for. You can make illustrations. So all of these illustrations are done on Figma by one of these guys. Like a lot more has been done lately. Like if you just it'll just make you go crazy. You can build a presentation. So right now, this particular presentation that I'm giving right now, that's also made on Figma. So you can also create your resume. I've created my resume on Figma, and then you can export as a PDF. So a lot can be done. There's a new tool that they introduced this year, which is called FigJam, which is a whiteboarding genius. So when you want to brainstorm and jam on stuff together or iterate or critique anything, then FigJam, it's right now in a beta phase, but this is sort of something like this, where you can have your post-it notes. You can also bring your designs, like Figma designs inside this, and then send a FigJam file link to people, like from your share button, you can send it to people, and then they can do these kind of fun things, add stickers, give their feedback, tell them right away. So it's instead of like a very traditional sterile environment of laying down comments, this becomes much more fun. You can vote it. There are a lot of stamps and stickers and all of like fun stuff to do. And yeah, this is where your ideas are going to shape. So that's FigJam. I have not used this a lot lately, but I'm going to use it in the coming months. Okay, let's take a tour of Figma. I think we are short on time. I'm just going to like quickly. So when you do a new file, okay, I'll just show you how Figma looks like. So this is your recent tab, wherein you can see that this is your all the recently opened files. The drafts is the same place, wherein recents has a limit to how many files you can see in one time. Drafts will have the bank of all your files. Then there is the community section, wherein this is where you will get a lot of resources and plugins and everything available like this. Let's say out here, if you want to see, this is a design kit. If I go here, it tells me that uh, you want to see these kind of files inside it. I duplicate it. What happens is that I have got this file for free, and now I can start editing, tweaking this. Taking a lot more time than usual. Yeah. So here I have everything available with me. I think the fonts, it's logged right now. Okay, so this essentially you can like find a lot of files from here. You can find illustrations, like you click. These are the plugins. So plugins help you increase your workflow faster. uh, FigJam templates are out here. You can check your design systems. Like there are open source design systems or kits that are available out here. You can go and duplicate it. The wireframes, illustrations, everything that you require is out here. Explore this fun tool. It's pretty amazing. Uh, this is your teams. So like right now I'm part of Learn Signal, and then you have these projects. So that's what I'm currently working on. And then inside a project, you have these files. So this is how your team looks like. And once you're inside, let's open one. Let's use this particular thing. So here on the left, you have your entire feature tree, wherein all these slides are there. And inside the slide, you have this. This is pretty straightforward. You have all the elements listed down here. Uh, Speaking of tools, if I were to just tell you, on the top bar, you have your move and scale, then you have frames, then you have your shapes, Then you have your pen tool, then you have your text tool, then you have just panning, and then you have your comment tool. So if I want to just write down something, I can just comment it out here. So it stays out here. I'm just going to delete this. Yeah. So that's Figma, and I'm going to use these tools and explain you much better when we start diving into the Instagram prototype that we have. So this is just a top level thing that I've told you. If I were to like show you how to present, you can share this particular thing with like this particular Figma file link with anyone, and uh, sort of that's how the sharing thing works. And you can set the permissions out here. There's someone when you're sending the file, can they edit or can they view? What can they do? And on the right hand side, you have your play icon, so which is going to present. It's going to go into the present mode, and then you can see all the prototypes out there. Besides that, you have your zooming on the right hand side. Let's say if you click on any element, you see there further details like how they're placed, sort of what's the font that is used, etc. What are the effects, and if you want to export this particular thing into a JPEG, SVG, something on that sort, you can do right from there. So this is essentially the structure, and I'm assuming it's a pretty basic thing, and you guys are like pro enough to understand this. So coming back to this part, any questions if you have? All right, cool. Yeah, let's build a small prototype of Instagram, and this is what I've created right now. I'll just show you. So I hope everyone has installed Figma, and those who like want to work alongside can do this exercise with me. So what I'm going to show you is essentially this. This is what I've built right now on Figma. Obviously, I've used different set of icons and something, so I'll just tell you what essentially looks like what I've built so far. So if you expand this, then this opens, and then let's say if you want to comment here, then your bottom sheet shows up. I think the emojis are not loading out here. Let me do this properly. Yeah. So this is how your Instagram looks like. So this is what I've built, and sort of if you want to build this with me, we can do this. Before starting, if you guys have Figma installed, kindly go on to the community tab and just search for these plugins and install them, because we'll be using these. There's content reel, there's lorem ipsum, there's UI gradients, and there's feather icons. Paste this in the chat. Cool. So what I've done here is basically created components of how this particular card is going to look like, and in a collapsed state and an expanded state, and how the bottom sheet is going to look like, and then the top header, and the entire stories carousel that we have. So this is the entire structure. Now let's start into building these items. First thing what you have to do is press F. All right, someone in the chat. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, thank you, Aditi, for that. And so first what we're going to do is press the F key so that the frame is selected. And on the right hand side, You see a lot of options here. The first one is phone, then you have tablet, then you have desktop. So these are presets of your frame. And this is what we normally use. So right now I've used Google Pixel to Excel. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click on Google Pixel to Excel. I'm going to just create this. Now, before you guys do this, let me just think you will need some assets. Okay. If you are on the same page, I'll just would want to show you how to get these icons that I've used. So the plugin that I called you, feather icons, just click on, okay, press control and forward slash, or I guess command forward slash if you're on Mac, and just try to find feather icons. If you cannot do this way, then just right click on the canvas and there's a plugins menu. And from the plugins that you recently installed, open feather icons. And in feather icons, just search for home. Just click on that particular icon. The icon's coming here. Then we require a search icon. So search is out here. Then we require a reels icon. So for reels, I'm using a video icon, which is like this film strip. Then a heart icon. Then we require a plus icon, or so I'm using the square plus icon. Then I also required a messaging icon. So I'm using a mail icon because it's not available out here, the messenger icon inside this particular plugin. So using an alternative icon for it. So all of these icons are out here, just like one second. Then again, feather icons, what do we require else? We require the comment icon. Then we require the send icon. So that's there. Then we require the bookmark icon. So bookmark icon is here. Then we require the ellipsis icon, the 3 dots that you see. So this is here. And yeah, that's all. For right now, for you guys, if you don't have the Instagram logo, you can Google it, like this particular logo that you see here. If this is not there, then you can just write Instagram for time being, like just Instagram with that bold thing. So right now what we have done is we've collected all the icon that we're going to use in the thing. Okay. Yeah, so we have all our icons here. Now, first, what we'll do is create the top header that we have. Okay. Now, for that, what I'm going to do is, so this particular thing is 80 pixels tall. So I'm going to click inside the frame, press F again, draw this particular frame. This particular frame is like not of the correct dimensions. So what I'm going to do is first make the X coordinate 0, Y coordinate 0. Okay. And then stretch it all the way to the edge and make this 80 pixels tall. So now it's 80. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give a fill value of white color. So you can essentially just write FFF. It's going to give a fill value to it. You won't be able to see anything, but trust me, it's the colors there. Then we require Instagram inside it, and then the plus and the messaging icon, right? So since I have the Instagram icon, let's say I'm assuming I don't have an Instagram icon. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click inside this particular frame, I'm going to press the letter T so the text box opens up. I'm going to write Instagram. Okay. Now this is in Roboto and this is in 12 pixel size. So we'll do it 20. Okay. We'll make this bold italic. Okay. And let's say you want to use a margin of 16 pixels. So I'm gonna, from the left axis it's 16, from bottom also it's 16. So it's Instagram out here. I think it should be a little bigger. Let's make this 24. Okay, this is your. Now we require the plus and messaging icon. So I'm going to grab the plus icon. I'm going to grab the messaging icon. Copy them. Click in the frame inside, paste them here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this align bottom. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take them all the way here. And since we have kept 16 pixels from the left hand side, we'll keep 16 pixels from the right hand side also. And between these two, there's 36 pixels. We don't want that. We want them to be a little closer. Let's keep them at 24 pixels. Okay. Yeah, this works. Now in the prototype, we saw that this particular element is sticky on the top. It's not hiding. So what we will do is here, we'll select this particular thing, and on the right, you can see fixed position when scrolling. Just check that. So you'll notice that inside your feature tree, you will have a fixed title and then scroll title, and inside fixed, you have this particular frame. Now, once this is done, then we'll create the bottom navigation. The bottom navigation out here is 64 pixels tall. So again, same thing. We'll create a frame. We'll take it to the left hand side. We'll take it to the bottom side. We'll stretch this. We'll make this 64 pixels tall. Okay, this is done. We'll make this fill value of white color, which is FFF in your case. Now it has these icons. So now what we are doing, and the home icon is black in color. So we've done a little trick here. The icon that you will find on feather icons, we'll see on the, it has two elements. There's a vector and there are two vectors inside it. The bottom one is of the house, the triangular shape, and the above one is of the door. So since we want this kind of a logo, what we'll do is just copy it right here, just to make you understand how it's going to look like. So now what we'll do is select the bottom, the door wala vector. And on the top, do you see there are these 4 points? All right, so I'll go into the edit mode. If I click on that, I'll just show you again. You click on the door vector, and on the top you have your edit object button out here. Click on that so it goes into the nodes. Now we see that there is no line between the bottom dots. So what we'll do is we'll click on the pen tool. We'll correct this icon. We'll click on this point and we'll seal this particular object. Now as you can see that once this thing has been sealed, we'll remove the stroke value. And what we'll do is we'll make this 6x11 and we'll make this fill as white. Okay. Now select the door, the second vector, go into the edit object, and here on the second last icon just before done, you will see a paint bucket thing. Click on that, and when you hover on this particular triangle, you see this texture on it. So just click on it. What essentially is done is that it's given a fill value. Now we want the fill value to be black. So we'll just enter 00 and it's black. So just click on done and your icon is ready. So now your home icon is done. What else do you require? You require the search icon. You require the reels icon, require the heart icon. What I'll do is I'll just select them and then press Shift and A. Shift key and A key together. So this is an auto layout that you've entered. Essentially what you've done is what I can now do is if I want to replicate or add anything, I'll just either press Control D, Command D. So just keep on replicating things and it'll maintain the spacing between two objects as constant. So auto layout is a very handy feature of Figma that's like really special. Now the fourth icon is our profile icon, right? So what we are going to do is we're going to create a frame. Okay. And since these icons are 24 pixels tall, we'll create the frame as 24 pixels tall. We'll give a corner radius of 12, or you can add any value about 12. I'm just going to add 24. So it becomes a circle. In this circle, I want to add an image out here. So what I'll do is I'll either go here, click on image, choose image. I have my images out here. Pick any image that you want. You can either let's use this emoji out here. So now it has filled this particular frame with this particular image. Okay. Just to give you perspective, let's change the image again. Going to choose image. I'll use my photo. It's gotten here, right? Now, since we have this frame 29 as auto layout, what I'll do is I'll just click on my profile icon, press Ctrl X, cut that, select the frame and paste it. It'll automatically place it at that equal distance. Now we have this particular layout ready. What I'm going to do is I'm going to drag it, and here inside the bottom nav I've placed it. Now see, the distance is not correct, right? It's not equally spaced. Now what we are going to do is first we are going to constrain this particular frame, the icons inside this as center and center. Out here you can see, so it is center, it is center. It's not left and right. So now you can see these dotted lines out here. So it is center. So if I try to expand it, right? If I try to add another icon, it's going to equidistant, like it's going to grow from the middle side. Now what we have to do is on the top we left a margin of 16 pixels on left and bottom, right? Left and right hand side, right? So now what we'll do is we will stretch this frame, press Alter. Okay. Stretch this. See how much is remaining. Okay. It's 16 and 18, right? So we'll use one more. Presses in center. We need one more. 379. So now it is completely 16 pixels from each side. Now what we will do is now things are not spaced equally. So what you do is go inside the auto layout properties on the right panel. Click set the grow as like you want to place your content in the center. Now what you do is in the pack drop down, choose space between. So now it's equidistant. I think it has more space. Let's reduce this. I think it's 28 that we have kept. So 28. So I need to have how much more? 24 pixels more. I'm just going to like minus 24. This is 28 from each side. So now it looks exactly similar to what we have here. Now there's a line out here. Line 2. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy it. So what you can do is you can create a line here. Just make it any size. Just place it inside the frame. Make this 411 because that's Google Pixel ka width. And what you do is you want to place it above this, right? So what I'll do is I'll click this and align bottom, and then without deselecting anything, I'll again press align top now. So now it has gone on the top part of this bottom half. Now we don't want this line to be so dark, so we'll select the line, adjust the color to CD, or maybe more than that, which is EF. Yeah, so it's a light gray line out here. Now what we'll do is this part should stay fixed. This line should stay fixed. You check here, there's a line that you can see this gray line out here that is staying fixed. So again, the line also needs to be fixed. So we'll click on fixed position when scrolling. And the bottom nav also needs to be fixed. So we'll click on fixed position while scrolling. All right, now this is done. All right. Now what you have to do is you have to create this middle card. I'm just going to get the card here. Show you what it's going to look like. Okay, now, okay, before this, sorry, my bad. We'll create the story carousel. The story carousel is an interesting one. Let's say this is your, and so what we'll do is we'll first create this outer circle. Okay. Now the outer circle is 76 in size. Make this 76. Apply a corner radius of 76, so it becomes a circle. It's filled. It has a stroke of gray. You can use this particular value. I'm going to make it 2 in size. So let's say it has a gray. Just give any gray color for time being. Then it has an internal circle of my profile. So I'm going to go inside it, create this frame. I'm going to see this is 64 pixels. So I'm going to make this 64. Give a corner radius of 64. So it's circle essentially. Now what I'll do is, since it's inside this particular frame, I'm going to center align it vertically and horizontally. Now what I'm going to do is, since this is not having any fill value, right? I'm going to click on it, choose image, my profile icon. This is done, correct? Now we need this your story thing. So we'll do is we need a text box out here. Press T, type your story. This needs to be gray in color. And this is something 12. Regular. So what we'll do is secure. And it's 4 pixels from this. So one is here. Now what we'll do is we'll create a frame of this. So you click on the text box, right click, frame selection. Okay. Now just extend your frame. How much you want to make it? Let's make it 64 pixels wide. Okay. And you just click on the clip content property. Okay. And so now basically what you've done is I've created this particular card. What I'm going to do is I'm going to select each of these things and then press Shift A. Okay. So when you press Shift A, it's going to go into auto layout. Now, when you do auto layout, it's going to by default arrange all the elements in a top left fashion. What you have to do is click on the center thing. So this has gone into the center. I'll just show you how it should look like. Yeah. So this is done. And this is what you've created. What we'll do is we'll just create multiple copies of this. I guess these are spaced at 11. Okay. What we'll do is again press Shift A. So auto layout. Now what I'm doing, I just have to do this. Okay. Now, what we'll do is we'll select these other images. So the frames that we have there, there's a fill value. So now what we'll do is we'll use the content reel plugin. Command / content reel. Inside content reel, go into the image tab. You have these images out there. Go into avatars, not this one. Let's go into beauty avatars. Since all of these are selected, just click on apply all. It's going to randomly select these images and place it out here. Okay. Now, even for the name, right, we want these names to be changed. So again, go to content reel, go in the text. So you have username. Just search for username. You'll have a list created of random usernames, or you can type it out manually. Or there's a list by this guy. If you go in this, you will have these list of usernames. I'm just going to click on apply now. It's gotten all of these applied. Now the thing is, you can't see them. Damn it. It's getting truncated, right? We'll do this. You have to do this individually. There's no other way. Okay. So now since we have our content clipping, it's going to clip here. Ideally, if you check open Instagram, there's a dot thing, but that is handled by coding. So not go into that. Now this is your thing created, right? Now we want to apply this gradient thing on the story, right? The stories that you haven't watched. So for those people, we'll make this black in color. Because if you check Instagram, it's black in color. Things that you haven't watched. Now you have to select the external rectangle. Okay. And now this is not going to look good. I'll just show you what you have to do. Okay. Let's make this. Just going to show you what you have to do here. Select this. Go to UI gradients, the plugin. Once you go here, you will see a list of these gradients ready-made available. Okay. Now we want to make something look like Instagram. So let's use this red and yellow. When you click on this, it's going to apply on the fill value. We want on the stroke. So what do you do in the stroke? Go and select linear first. So it's going to choose gray and black by default. Now click on the linear that you have here. Choose this color, copy this, go to stroke, choose a black color, apply it. Let's apply it here. Go to linear, go to the yellow one, copy the yellow shade. Now this has to be 100. Okay. And now just make this white in color. So this is done, right? You've got the story ka feed. Now what you do is right click, copy properties. Okay, copy properties, nothing else. Click on that. Select this particular external rectangles that you have. Now right click, paste properties. So now these ones are unwatched, these are watched. Now what you have to do is you have to make this entire thing, right? So this is okay. Now what we'll do is we'll now right click on this auto layout thing and click on frame selection. Once you do that, your auto layout is inside this, inside this particular frame 41. The frame 41 is what's going to go here. So I'll just drag it. I'll place it here. Okay. Now we want this to be 0. See, this is like there's no spacing out here. So what we'll do is first make the frame here 411. Then on the auto layout thing, we'll add a padding of 8 on the top, 16 on the sides. Okay. We'll add a fill value to the, and see that this frame is cutting off right here. So what we'll do is extend this. When you extend it, you will see those marks out there. So it's now 110 pixels tall because your internal frame 36 is 110 pixels tall. Now on this particular frame, you have to apply, go into the prototype panel, and inside the overflow, click on horizontal scrolling. Okay. Now what I'll do is I'll show you how this looks like. Click on your Google, the thing that you've made. Click on the play button. So we're going to prototype. Now if you see here, it's acting this way. Okay. Now we also have a line out here. So we'll create one more line that's going to stay constant. Not stay constant. Just copy that. Select this. Make this 0. So there's a line out here. All right. So this is done. Now we'll create the card out here. It's going to be a little more time consuming, but yeah, let's go through it. So what we'll do is first we'll create a frame. Okay. This is going to be 411 wide. Okay. Forget the height of it right now. We just want the width to be constant. Now we want to create this particular section on top of it, right? So what we will do is, and also the image container. So we'll just create this. So this is your image container. Let's say the height of this image container is 4. It's a square image, right? Instagram supports square images. So we'll do this 411 by 411. And this top bar is 50 pixels tall. So we duplicate this, put this on the top, make this 50 pixels tall. Okay. Between these two, there's no spacing. Okay. Click on this particular image, go to Unsplash. Sorry, this is one of the plugins that I forgot to mention. Just install Unsplash also. Just choose any image out here. Yeah, cool. This is the image of it. So we now know what to work on. Inside this, you have your profile icon and the ellipsis icon, right? So what we'll do is first the profile icon is 30 by 30, right? So we'll use frame, go for 30 by 30, click on 30. Now we keep this center line. This has to be 16 pixels tall. Again, go to Unsplash. Choose any guide. That's it. This guy. Then text field. It says Pablito. That's it. To arrange this, I think we have 16. So this is done. Now we want the ellipsis icon. So I'm just going to copy this. Paste it here. All the way to the right. 16 pixels from the right hand side. So this is done. Okay. Now we want these items to be here, right? So we'll have to use the hide icon from here because we comment, share, the funk. So what we'll do is we'll choose these three, press Shift A, adjust the spacing, 16 pixels is fine. 16 pixels from top. This is 12. Now, what we'll do is we'll also bring this closer. Okay, so now it's 16 pixels. And now what we'll do is we'll select this icon and this auto layout, and then press auto layout again. And what we'll do is we'll do space between. Okay, the size is fixed at this. This is corrected. So now this is there. Okay, so even if you reduce this, it's going to stay constant. And this is done. Then we have these three little icons out here. So what we'll do is we'll go on to frame, make this 16 pixels tall. Oh, this is 16. Yeah. 16. I'll make this have stroke of white color. You won't be able to see anything. Okay. These three have been our frames. I'll go to content reel. I'll go in the avatars. Apply all. Now, since these are overlapping with each other, right? We'll do that. We'll adjust this to negative. And now since this is on the top, so we'll bring this to front, bring this to back, so it looks similar. And this is a group. We'll adjust this. So it's 12. Then we have line by line. Okay. Okay. So this is some bold. Some bold. This is regular. This is 13 pixels in size. What we'll do is we'll also create an auto layout of these things. Okay, and adjust this to middle. So this is done. Then you have your title again. So we'll paste it from here. Well, make this little thicker. Then we will have the write-up. To make this little lesser than black, so we'll go for 333. Okay. And then we have another thing out here. So what we'll do is we'll create an auto layout for this too. Then we have this here. This is 4 pixels and make this blue in color. So okay. Then we have green color. Okay. So are going to be 13. This is done. Well, again, we'll do an auto layout. Make this 12 in size. This 4. Got it. Okay. This is 4. Okay, and then you have your view all 187 comments. And then you have your the timestamp. Just really small. So we'll do that. You see, this is created, right? What I'll do is I'll just create an auto layout for these things. So now this is all equally spaced at 4 pixels. So 12 pixels, the 12 pixels. So now what we'll do is we'll first bind these two together, either by group. We'll group them together. So now we have three items, three group items, which are at space at 12 pixels. So we'll select the frame here and click on add auto layout. Okay. Now you see that the structure changed, right? Now what we'll do is we'll add spacing to this. 16, 16. This one also gets a left padding of 60. Okay. You see that this is now not correctly bound. So what we'll do is we'll just extend this. This is done. This is done. Now there's no bottom space. So we'll click on frame 42 again, which is an auto layout. Go onto the bottom at 24 pixels. So now your card has been created. Now what you'll do, you want to do this. So what we'll do is we'll replicate this. Now, since it is an auto layout, right? It's going to, what we'll do is first we'll just also apply one property out here. And spread this all the way to fill container. Spread this all the way to fill container. Now this is done, right? Now we want to include this paragraph inside this, correct? What we'll do is the more goes away, right? So I'm going to just click on Picasso out here. Or let's click on more. Push them to the left hand side. Change this to vertical. Okay. Click on the more. Click on lorem ipsum. You want certain sentences, just generate them. You see that it's gone all the way here, right? Just do this. Just try to find out the sweet spot. Okay. All right. Now this you've got it. You know that how much it's going to take up space. So do this. It's 22. So 6 more you have to add. It's 16 pixels. And this color is not right. We'll make this 333. We'll increase the okay. Now since it is auto layout, I'm just going to like press enter and make it look like an Instagram post. Okay. Now Picasso is to below. Let it be that way. Now we have something in between comments and the timestamp. So this is your comment bar. What we are going to do is take this out here. Click here. Pick this particular thing. Now what is it? Add a comment. Okay. Use this. Press Shift A. Make this 16 pixels. Then you need this emoji group out here, right? So what we'll do is we'll create one more. Inside this, add emojis from anywhere. Heart. And let's say this thing. Then we also have a little plus icon, right? So this we haven't taken from feather icons. So what we'll do is we'll go to feather icons. Click on plus, small plus icon. It's here, right? We want to scale this down to, this is 13 pixels. Let's make this 12 pixels. So we'll press the letter key, or from here, you have move and scale. Select the scale thing. The reason why I'm doing the scale thing is because if I don't do it, if I use the normal move tool, if I try to shrink this down, it's going to like look fat because the corner, this radius is not getting changed. They can do this. Let's make it 12. So this is too thick, right? Let's make this 1. Make this 1. Make this 1. So it's fine. We'll change this color to AAA. Okay. Cut this inside this. Okay, now. So essentially what I did is there's a text layer and there's an icon layer. Okay, and now this need to be center aligned. I'll do it from the right hand side. So this is there, right? The distance between these two, 12, maybe 10, doesn't matter. So now you have this and this. So what we'll do is we'll press Shift A again, put it into auto layout, do this and make it space between. Now what we have is this part. Now what you have to do is cut this, choose this auto layout, choose this one, just paste it here. And we want it between comments and ours, right? I think we have an extra spacing also. Yeah. So we just add some extra space. 4, 4. Okay. Now since this is here, we want all the way here. Just here it's on fixed width. Just click on fill container. And I think it's gone all the way till the bottom, right? Oh, okay. Yeah. So this is done. Now this has to be my click. So change this. Okay. So now these two cards are done, right? Now what we'll do is we'll just rename this post card collapsed. So these naming conventions, right? It's a separate topic altogether wherein you'll understand how to create variants. Now what I'll do is I'll just create a component of this. Okay. I'll also create a component of this one. And select these two. And here you'll see on the right hand side is combine as variants. Just combine them. So now this card is called collapse. This card is called expanded. All right. Now if I choose this, choose a just drag, like copy a component out of like create an instance of this. Here it's called postcard, but on the right hand side there's a property. If I choose expanded from here, the card becomes expanded. So I have to design it. I've created a component out of it and a variant of it. So now this one card functions as this too. So now this is happening, right? So now we created a component out of this. Now, the reason why we do this, what we'll do is we'll just select this. Is it right here? 0 and right. Now this is come here. Now what we'll do is we want more number of this. So we'll duplicate this. So just press Control D. Okay. Now you'll see a second one, but that's duplicated on top of it. You see, second. So what we'll do is we'll select each of them, press Shift A. It's gone into auto layout. Now, auto layout has gone into side. We want it to come at the bottom. Okay. Now just press multiple times of it. How many ever you want. So right now we've created 5 of them. If you unclip the content, you will see that there are 5 out here. What we'll do is we'll select all of these image layers, go to Unsplash, click on Abstract, choose any category, depends upon what you want to do. Let's say this is our feed, okay? That's what we've created. Now, if I click again, and now what I have to do is I have to go on to select the Google Pixel 2 frame, go on prototype, choose vertical scrolling. So now if I go into the actual presentation, let this get saved first. Yeah, it's saved. Something is wrong. Yeah, this line, I think it's still on fixed. Remove this. This has fixed. This has white. Let's choose this. All right, this is there. Cool. So now it should work. See this? We've created an Instagram looking lookalike. Now the reason why, so now if you click here, this is there. This is sticky, this is sticky, this is there. I'll just quickly create the bottom sheet. For this, you want to have the keyboard out there. Right now, you just create a rectangle for your reference. You'll get these kits on the community that you can find the keyboards from here. I'll just quickly create this. What the height of this is? It's going to be 411. Height is 410. Okay. You just use the keyboard from here. Place it here. I'm going to create this particular frame out here. So what I've done is basically created a frame. Again, make this fill. Align it to the top. I think this is 50 in height. 51. 51. It's all the way here. Hey, it's okay, right? If this goes a few minutes over time. All right, cool. I'll just create this divider. I'll just cut this, paste it inside the frame. Make this left align, stretch. Just press shift and stretch so that it doesn't lose the 0-degree angle. Align it at the bottom, change the color to EF. ED. Yeah, this is fine. Then we have to create this particular thing, which is all right. Again, I'll need my own photo. I'm just going to pick this, click on it, press Alt. This is 40 pixels tall. Yeah. Make this 40. Then we require this particular text box. So we just created this here, right? Let's take this. So the corner areas have been changed. I'll just make this 40. Command as functional 3. And this is there, and we want this to be dollar. 14. Okay. And we got this as in color. So good. Now we need a cursor there. So just use this. This is a hack right now. Make this see this more. Since the cursor is black in color, make this a little bold. Now we'll just make a layout of this. Make this 16. There now we want the post icon. So post. This is medium. We'll make this blue in color. We'll use the same blue that we've used here. Okay, now, but we want the opacity to be less. So this with the layer transparent. 40% works. Now this is there, shift layer, auto layout. Make this center line. Make this. All right, now what we'll do is we'll just place it here. Okay. Now we need this to be 16 pixels from top and left. 26, 16, this is done. Stretch this 2 more and go for space between. So this is taken. C1. Okay. There should be a little more lighter. So we'll go for CD. Yeah. Then we need a text box out here with all those emojis. Just click on here. What all do we have? The heart icon, we have the raised hands, we have fire icon, we have clap icon, we have fear icon, we have the heart eyes, we have surprised, and we have the laugh icon. Now this is, I guess, 20 pixels in size, 20 in size. We'll centerline this, make this leftmost. Now you're just a little trick. What you can do is so now you have all of these emojis laid out. Just press Shift A. Okay. Arrange them together. Something off. Make sure the font sizes are 20 and this is okay. Now just go for space between. All right. And we want it to be, yeah, perfect. This is done. Now we have the bottom sheet here. Let's call this command sheet. Okay. This is done, right? Now we'll just create a prototype. Just get rid of all of this. Which we don't want. This we have here, right? So what you have to do is now we'll just create a prototype wherein if I click on this particular thing, becomes this, and I'm going to do a smart animate here. And if I click on this particular comment, it's going to open this. So instead of navigate to, we are going to switch this to open overlay. And in open overlay, we're going to choose the last option, which is bottom center. You can choose any other option from your bottom center. We'll just click on close when clicking outside, and animation to be move in, and you want to move in from bottom up. Okay. So this has been taken care of, right? Now, see if this is, you might have to create one more variant of this. Wait, this. So I'll just show you essentially there's a bug in Figma wherein they haven't been able to resolve this. Let's just, for now, turn off all the other cards, okay? So we just have one card right now, correct? If I click on this particular part, something's wrong. All right, what we'll do is we'll just get rid of this particular interaction for now. And just click this content. See that for if you click here, it should open this. Okay. And in all of these ones, we'll use the expanded card layout. Okay. Should work now. Yeah. So see, this is there. This is there. If I click on this part, something happens. Okay. Oh, you see this? If I click here, see that X thing opened up, and when you click on add a comment, this bottom sheet comes up. Let's add a line on top. Because this is just okay. So this is there. Oh. Click on this, line shows up out. So yeah, I hope you guys have been able to follow this through. I'm going to share the link of this particular thing with you guys so that you can tweak this, explore out of this. I'm going to paste it in the chat. And yeah, this is it. So that's the whole session so far about Figma. I'll just stop my share. I hope this is informative and quite like interesting for you all. If you have any concerns, just reach out to me on just Uncle Mystery on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter. I'll answer all your queries, and if you want to chat something about UX UI design, feel free to shoot your questions. But yeah, that's it from my side. I'll hand over to the admins.
That was wonderful, Pankaj, sir. I'm pretty sure all the attendees have gained a lot of knowledge. Like it is always said, all good things must come to an end. I, Chirag Hegde, would like to extend a vote of thanks on behalf of the entire committee of IEEE APSIT Institute of Technology and IEEE St. Francis Institute of Technology. We are truly grateful for the time and efforts of Pankaj sir to make this event a success. I'm sure we all have gained some insights and learned a lot about UI designing through Figma. We extend our gratitude towards IEEE volunteers of both SFIT and APSIT for their hard work in making this event possible. I would also like to thank a principal and branch counselor of APSIT, Dr. Uttam Kolekar sir, and our Dean of Administration of APSIT, Dr. Sameer Nanibadekar sir, for guidance to host this amazing webinar. I would also like to thank the ISSB coordinator of SFIT, Santosh sir, and ISSB co-coordinator of SFIT, Valentina ma'am. I would also like to thank all the attendees